Ladies and gentlemen, take a breath. Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. Everything you do from this moment on is a seed planted in the soil of the rest of your life. The rest of your life. That phrase can sound overwhelming, or it can sound like a promise, a blank page, a second chance, a canvas, waiting for color. You get to choose which one it is. The truth is, most people don't live with the rest of their lives in mind. They live for the next hour, the next paycheck, the next distraction. But what if you could step outside of that? What if you could begin living on purpose today, not by accident, not just reacting, but choosing? Ask yourself, what do I want to remember when I'm older? Who do I want beside me when I look back? What kind of person do I want to become? Not someday, but starting now. Because the habits you form today will follow you. The people you invest in today will walk with you. And the courage you show today will shape your tomorrow. For the rest of your life, you will have challenges. That's a guarantee. You will lose things. You will gain others. But in all that, you have one constant, you. So take care of that person. Believe in them. Forgive them when they fall short. And keep going. Keep dreaming, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. Because the easy path rarely leads to a life worth remembering. Here's the beautiful part. No matter what has come before this moment, you still have the rest of your life to make it right, to become kind, to take risks, to create something that matters, to love boldly, to live fully. So as you leave this place or in this chapter or step into the unknown, do it with your whole heart. Carry this question with you. Is this how I want to spend the rest of my life? If the answer is no, change it. If the answer is yes, cherish it. You only get one rest of your life. Make it something you're proud of. Every moment you live is a seed planted in the soil of your future, watered by your choices and shaped by your consistency. Think about that for a second. Right now, as you're reading these words, you're doing something with your time. That choice, that use of a moment is not empty. It's not neutral. It's part of something far bigger, your life story. We tend to treat time like it's endless, especially when we're young or busy. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow, that there's plenty of time to become who we want to be. We underestimate the power of a single day because it seems so small. But days become weeks, weeks become months, and months become years. The tiny things you do every day, whether it's how you speak to others, how you treat yourself, what you choose to learn or ignore, what you say yes or no to, all of it is creating momentum. Like tiny seeds, each action will grow into something. And one day you'll look around and realize that your life is a reflection of what you've been planting all along. Some people expect their lives to magically change. They wait for a breakthrough, for the right time, or for a sign that tells them to start. But life rarely works that way. Life is quiet. It responds to your patterns. If you plant discipline, you will harvest growth. If you plant kindness, you will build meaningful relationships. If you plant fear, avoidance, or bitterness, those seeds take root too, and they shape the landscape of your future just as powerfully. The truth is, every moment matters, even the ones that seem invisible. Let's take something simple, the decision to smile at a stranger. You might forget it 5 minutes later, but maybe that smile shifted their day. Maybe that ripple reached someone else. Maybe you inspired trust, warmth, or the beginning of a connection you didn't expect. Now take something larger. The habit of reading just 10 pages a day. That's not impressive on its own. But 10 pages a day adds up to 3,650 pages a year. That's the equivalent of 15 books. That's a mind expanded. That's new ideas, perspectives, confidence, just from one tiny repeated seed. This isn't about perfection or pressure. You're human. You'll have days where the seeds you plant aren't your best. Maybe you'll say something you regret. Maybe you'll procrastinate, give up, or give in. That's okay. The beauty of the seed metaphor is that growth is ongoing. One bad day doesn't destroy a garden. But if you stop planting good seeds altogether, if you let negativity, apathy, or fear become your norm, then over time that becomes the landscape you live in. And you deserve better than that. There's a quiet kind of power in realizing that you are always building something, whether you mean to or not. That realization can be overwhelming, or it can be empowering, because it means you're never stuck. You're never too far gone. You don't have to wait for a new year or a big moment to turn things around. You just have to start where you are with what you have right now. A better future isn't something you stumble into. It's something you grow into, slowly, steadily, one decision, one moment, one seed at a time. There's also something deeply comforting about this. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to leap to the finish line. You just need to ask yourself, what kind of seed am I planting right now? Is this moment feeding the kind of life I want to live? Am I moving in the direction of growth or away from it? Even in your relationships, this truth applies. Every conversation is a chance to plant seeds of trust, understanding, compassion, or conflict. Words are powerful seeds. Silence can be one too. The way you show up for others and for yourself leaves an imprint. People may forget what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember how consistent you were, how present, or how absent. This doesn't mean you have to be constantly productive or always on. Life is about balance. Some seeds are planted in rest, some in play, some in stillness. Taking care of your mental and emotional health, allowing yourself space to breathe, to reflect, to heal. Those are powerful seeds too. Rest is not a waste of time. It's the soil that allows other things to grow. One day, years from now, you'll look back. You'll see the path you took, the choices you made, the people you held on to, and the habits that shaped you. And you'll see clearly every little moment mattered more than you thought it did. Life wasn't shaped by one big choice. It was built quietly in the small ones. That's how gardens grow. That's how character is formed. That's how dreams are built. So today, this moment matters. It's not just another hour in your day. It's a seed. Ask yourself what kind of future you want to grow into. Then start planting like it matters, because it does. We live in a world that constantly demands our attention. Notifications buzz, deadlines loom, opinions flood our screens, and in all the noise, most of us are simply reacting, rushing from one moment to the next without pausing to ask a simple question. Is this the life I want to be living? Living on autopilot is easy. You wake up, scroll your phone, go to work or school, get through the day, handle your responsibilities, and then repeat it all tomorrow. At the surface, it may seem like everything is functioning, but beneath that surface, something vital can be missing: intention. Living with intention means choosing your actions rather than being swept along by them. It means deciding what matters to you and aligning your daily life with those values. It means pausing often to ask, why am I doing this? Does it serve me? Is this in line with who I want to become? Most people wait until a crisis forces them to change. A breakup, a job loss, an illness, a sudden wake-up call, that's when they stop and reevaluate. But what if you didn't have to wait for pain to teach you? What if you chose right now to stop reacting and start creating? Life is not something that just happens to you. It's something you are constantly shaping through every choice, whether you realize it or not. Living with intention isn't about being perfect or having every step of your life planned. It's not about being rigid or overly structured. In fact, some of the most intentional people live with flexibility, curiosity, and openness. What sets them apart is that they are aware. They don't just go with the flow. They choose when to swim with the current and when to swim against it. They know who they are, or at least they're committed to figuring it out. They don't let the world define them. They define themselves. Think about how often we say yes to things out of guilt, fear, or habit. How often do we agree to tasks or relationships or paths that drain us, simply because it's what's expected? Intentional living means replacing automatic yeses with conscious decisions. It means learning the power of saying no, not out of rebellion or coldness, but out of clarity. When you say no to what doesn't align with your deeper values, you create space to say yes to what truly does. And here's the truth. It takes courage. It takes courage to pause and admit that you've been living on default, that maybe you've been following someone else's version of success, that maybe your time, your energy, your mind, and your heart have been scattered across commitments that don't reflect who you really are. But the good news is, it's never too late to change that. You can start today. You can start right now. You begin by observing. You ask yourself simple but powerful questions. What matters most to me? What kind of person do I want to be remembered as? What kind of energy do I want to bring into a room? What kind of work fills me up? What kind of relationships nourish me instead of drain me? These aren't questions you answer once and forget. They're questions you revisit regularly, because life shifts and so do we. Living intentionally is also about presence. So many of us live in the future or the past. We regret yesterday, or we're anxious about tomorrow. Intention anchors us in the now. When you live with intention, you start to notice the little things, the way the sunlight hits your coffee cup in the morning, the tone of your voice when you speak to a loved one, the ease or tightness in your chest as you move through your day. You start to feel your life again instead of rushing through it. There's a quiet strength in choosing to live this way. You're no longer at the mercy of other people's timelines, judgments, or expectations. You start to build a life that reflects you, not a life you feel trapped inside of. And you begin to trust yourself, because every choice you make is rooted in awareness rather than impulse. It doesn't mean life becomes easy. You'll still face difficulty. But the difference is you'll face it knowing who you are. You'll know why you're getting up in the morning. You'll know what you're fighting for. And when you fall off track, as we all do, you'll know how to return. There's a unique kind of peace that comes from this way of living. It's not the peace of having a perfect life. It's the peace of knowing your life is yours. That even when things don't go as planned, at least you were awake, engaged, and intentional in how you showed up. That's powerful. That's rare. So many people get to the end of their lives and wonder where the time went. They realize they were always chasing something. Approval, status, comfort, and never quite arrived. But the people who live with intention don't have that regret. Because even if they don't accomplish everything they dreamed of, they lived fully, consciously, with purpose in their steps and honesty in their hearts. You don't need to wait for some future version of yourself to start living like that. You don't need a big opportunity or a clean slate. All you need is the decision to stop sleepwalking through your days and start choosing them instead. So take a breath. Look at your life, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Then ask yourself, am I living by design or by default? And if the answer is the latter, know that you have the power to change that. Not tomorrow, not someday. When you strip away the noise, the distractions, the constant flood of responsibilities and pressures, you're left with one essential question: what truly matters to you? Not what other people think should matter, not what society tells you to value, not what's trending or popular or expected, but deep down, in the quiet space within yourself, what do you hold sacred? What gives your life meaning? Most people go through life without really asking this. They follow routines, pursue goals, and make decisions based on what others have done before them. They chase success without defining what success actually means to them. They build lives filled with tasks and objects and titles, only to find themselves feeling strangely empty when they get everything they thought they wanted. But defining what truly matters is the beginning of freedom. When you know your core values, when you're clear on what gives your life purpose, you stop being pulled in 100 directions. You stop chasing every shiny thing. You become more grounded. Your choices gain weight. Your time becomes sacred. Your energy is better protected, because now you're living in alignment with your own truth. It starts by getting honest. Honest about who you are when no one's watching. Honest about what moves you, not just emotionally, but spiritually. Honest about what makes you feel alive. Maybe it's creating or serving others or being in nature. Maybe it's building something meaningful, learning endlessly, nurturing deep relationships, or simply being present with your family. The answer will be different for each of us. That's the point. It's not about finding the right answer. It's about finding your answer. To get there, you need stillness. You can't uncover your values if you're constantly distracted. You need space to think, to feel, to remember what lights you up and what drags you down. That kind of clarity doesn't come when you're rushing through your day. It comes in the quiet. It comes when you unplug and sit with yourself, not to judge, but to listen. Once you begin to define what matters, something interesting happens. Your priorities start to shift. You become less interested in impressing others and more focused on staying true to yourself. You start saying no more often, not out of rebellion or selfishness, but because your yeses are now precious. You start choosing quality over quantity, depth over surface, meaning over noise. Relationships are a good place to apply this. When you know what kind of connection matters to you, when you know the kind of friend, partner, or family member you want to be, you start building stronger, more honest relationships. You stop wasting time on people who drain you or devalue you. You look for depth, for mutual respect, for love that is consistent and real. You stop trying to be liked by everyone and focus instead on being deeply known by a few. The same is true with your time. So much of our lives are wasted doing things that don't matter. We get caught in busy work, mindless scrolling, chasing validation, or living by someone else's definition of achievement. But when you clarify what's important to you, your schedule begins to reflect your values. You start making time for the things that feed your soul. You start treating your time like the precious, non-renewable resource it is. This shift brings not just peace, but power. There's strength in being rooted in your values. It makes you more resilient. When life gets hard, and it will, you have something to hold on to. When you're faced with tough decisions, you have a compass. When the world feels chaotic, your inner world remains steady because you know what you stand for. And here's something you may not expect. Knowing what truly matters also makes you more compassionate, because once you've done the work to connect with your own heart, you begin to see the humanity in others more clearly. You stop judging people based on surface level things. You become more patient, more kind. You start looking beyond appearances and achievements, and you begin to ask what matters to them. What are they carrying? What are they longing for? This depth doesn't just enrich your relationships, it enriches your entire experience of life. Food tastes better, music hits deeper, conversations feel more alive. Small things become sacred because now you're living with your eyes open. You're not just surviving your days, you're experiencing them. Of course, this isn't a one-time decision. Life will challenge your values. The world will tempt you to forget them. You'll get tired. You'll get distracted. You'll lose your way from time to time. That's normal. But every moment is a chance to realign, to pause and ask, am I living in a way that reflects what matters most to me? Am I honoring the things I say are important? You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to keep coming back. Keep choosing. Keep remembering what you're building and why. Because in the end, when the noise fades and the years pass and you're left reflecting on the life you lived, what will matter most won't be the awards you won, the followers you gained, or the things you owned. What will matter is how well you loved, how deeply you lived, how often you were present, how bravely you followed your truth. And that kind of life, the kind that is full and real and true, begins with a single quiet question. What really matters to me? Ask it, then build your life around the answer. Life will test you. That much is certain. No matter how carefully you plan, how kind you are, or how much you try to avoid discomfort, challenges will come. You will lose things you care about. You will be misunderstood. You'll face moments where nothing makes sense and everything feels uncertain. But within every challenge is something deeper than struggle. There is growth. There is a lesson you couldn't have learned any other way. There is strength that can only be built by walking through the fire, not around it. Growth is not something that happens only when life is good. In fact, the most meaningful growth almost always begins in hardship. When everything is smooth and predictable, we don't usually question ourselves. We coast. We stay safe. But when something shakes us, when a relationship ends, when a plan falls apart, when we're faced with fear or failure, we are given a choice. Do we resist, shut down, and cling to the familiar, or do we rise into the person we're becoming? Most people try to avoid pain. That's natural. No one enjoys failure. No one likes feeling lost or uncertain. But pain is not the enemy. Pain is a signal. It tells us something needs attention. And when we lean into that discomfort, not to wallow in it, but to listen to it, we often discover the beginning of transformation. It's in those moments of discomfort where we're cracked open, and through those cracks, light gets in. New truths are revealed. Old patterns are broken, and something deeper within us begins to wake up. Think about the hardest experiences of your life. Chances are they taught you something you couldn't have learned in any other way. Maybe they made you more empathetic. Maybe they forced you to slow down, reflect, or reevaluate your values. Maybe they introduced you to a strength you didn't know you had. We don't grow when everything is easy. We grow when we're stretched, when we're uncomfortable, when we're forced to evolve or be crushed by the weight of what we're facing. Resilience is not built in theory, it's built in experience. Every time you face something hard and choose not to give up, you're building a stronger version of yourself. Every time you fall and get back up, you're developing a quiet kind of courage that can't be taught in books or lectures. It's earned, it's lived, and it becomes a foundation you carry into everything else. Growth through challenge also helps us understand who we truly are. When things fall apart, the masks come off. We stop pretending, we stop performing. We see our fears, our desires, our weaknesses, and our dreams in their rawest form. And from that place of truth, we can begin to rebuild, not into who the world wants us to be, but into who we really are. But growth doesn't just happen automatically. It requires presence. It requires willingness. You have to choose to learn from what you're going through. You have to ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this? Not just to survive, but to evolve. This doesn't mean forcing yourself to be grateful in the middle of pain or pretending everything's fine when it isn't. It means honoring the experience even when it's hard. It means trusting that even if you can't see it yet, there is meaning being shaped in the background of your life. It also means being patient. Growth is slow, it's not instant. We want quick fixes, fast healing, immediate answers, but real transformation takes time. It's the kind of change that happens silently, often without recognition, like roots growing underground before they break the surface. And just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not happening. Some of the most powerful shifts in your life will happen quietly, when no one is watching. Don't rush it, trust it. At the same time, allow yourself to feel. You don't have to be strong every second. Growth doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means letting yourself experience them fully. Grief, anger, confusion, fear, without being defined or broken by them. Emotions are part of the process. They are signals, not stop signs. They are messengers pointing you to what needs healing, what needs attention, and what needs release. As you grow through challenges, you also begin to become a guide for others. Your story matters. Your healing matters. Someone else is going to face a storm you've already weathered, and because you didn't give up, you'll be able to walk with them through theirs. That's the beauty of growth. It doesn't just help you. It allows you to help others with humility and wisdom. The pain you once resented might become the very thing that gives someone else hope. Eventually, you'll look back on the things that once broke you and you'll realize they built something inside you too. A new kind of strength, a deeper kind of wisdom, a fuller kind of self-awareness. You'll see that the version of you that exists today could not have been born without the struggle you faced. And you'll understand that growth isn't just something you go through, it's something you choose. Again and again. Every time life asks, who are you becoming because of this? So when challenges come, and they will meet them not with fear, but with a quiet readiness, not with a need to have all the answers, but with an open heart, ask yourself, how can I grow through this? What can I learn? What can I let go of? What can I build from here? Because life will test you, yes, but if you let it, life will also shape you into someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate, and more whole than you ever imagined. That is the gift of challenge. That is the promise of growth.
Great.
Time is the one thing we all have in common, yet it's also the most limited. No matter who you are, rich or poor, young or old, successful or struggling, you only get 24 hours in a day. And once a moment is gone, it doesn't come back. You can't earn more of it. You can't borrow it. You can't buy it. Which is why how you spend your time is in many ways the most important decision you'll ever make. And yet so many people live as if their time is limitless, trading their days for distractions, obligations, and expectations that don't reflect what truly matters to them. There's a difference between being busy and being fulfilled. So many people wake up and dive headfirst into tasks, emails, meetings, errands, chores without ever asking whether those things are meaningful. They check off boxes, meet deadlines, and scroll through feeds, but at the end of the day, they don't feel satisfied. They feel depleted, stretched thin, like life is moving too fast and they're just trying to keep up. This is what happens when we don't treat our time with intention. We fill it without purpose. We survive our days instead of living them. Being intentional with your time isn't about productivity hacks or perfect schedules. It's about alignment. It's about taking a close, honest look at how you're spending your hours and asking, does this reflect my values? Is this how I want to spend my life? Because when you think about it, your life is really just a collection of days. And how you spend your days is how you spend your life. Think about what your calendar looks like. What fills your schedule? Who fills your space? What kinds of activities get your energy, your focus, your attention? Are you spending time with people who lift you up or with those who drain you? Are you doing work that lights you up or work that just pays the bills? Are you giving your best hours to what matters or to what's urgent? Urgency can be deceptive. Not everything that demands your time deserves it. Just because something is loud doesn't mean it's important. Notifications, emails, requests, they can pull you in all directions. But you get to choose what gets your time. You get to decide which voices matter. You don't owe your time to everyone and everything that asks for it. Protecting your time starts with knowing what you value. If family is important to you, are you making space to be truly present with them? If your health is a priority, are you building time for rest, movement, and nourishment? If you want to grow, are you giving yourself time to reflect, to read, to learn, to stretch? Time is not just about doing, it's about being. It's about creating space for stillness, for creativity, for joy, for love. The things that make life rich don't scream for your attention. You have to choose them intentionally. It's easy to think we'll get to the important stuff someday. We push dreams, conversations, self-care, and quality moments into the future, thinking we'll find the time later. But later isn't guaranteed. The people you love won't always be around. The opportunities won't always be there. The energy, the drive, the health, it all changes. If you don't make space for what matters now, you might never get the chance. Living with intention means understanding that every yes is a no to something else. Saying yes to more work might mean saying no to time with your kids. Saying yes to endless scrolling might mean saying no to time for your goals. And the opposite is also true. Saying no to things that don't align with your values frees up space to say yes to what does. But you have to be willing to disappoint others. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to choose yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a wise, honest way. This also means letting go of guilt. Many people feel guilty for resting, for doing less, for turning down invitations, for not being constantly available. But rest is not laziness, it's fuel. Boundaries are not selfish, they're necessary. Saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you responsible for your own well-being. You're not here to meet everyone's expectations. You're here to live your life. And that means being clear about what your time is for. Living intentionally with your time also means being present. What good is spending time with someone if your mind is somewhere else? What good is chasing your dream if you're too distracted to enjoy the journey? Presence turns ordinary moments into meaningful ones. It allows you to experience life fully instead of letting it rush past you. And presence requires attention. It requires slowing down. It requires choosing this moment right here as enough. Time well spent doesn't have to be grand or impressive. It doesn't have to look productive or exciting to anyone else. Some of the most meaningful ways to spend your time are simple. Sharing a meal with someone you love, taking a walk in the sun, journaling your thoughts, laughing with friends, creating something just for the joy of it. These things matter. These are the moments you'll remember. These are the pieces of life that build a legacy, not of things, but of meaning. You can't control how much time you have, but you can control how you use it. You can choose to be awake, to be present, to be selective, to be aligned. You can stop waiting for the perfect moment to live intentionally and start with this one, because this moment is real. It's here, and what you do with it matters more than you think. So ask yourself, if I only had a short time left, what would matter most? What would I make time for? What would I let go of? Now take those answers and start living by them. Not someday, not when it's convenient, but now. Because now is all you truly have. Leaving a legacy isn't about being famous. It's not about how many people know your name or how many awards you've won. True legacy is measured by the quiet impact you have on the lives around you. It's the kindness you show, the values you live by, the love you give, and the example you set, not just once, but consistently over time. It's what people feel when they think of you. It's how they speak of you when you're not in the room. It's what lingers after you've moved on, not just in memory, but in influence. Most people think of legacy as something tied to the end of life, something you reflect on when you're older, when your story is nearing its final chapters. But the truth is, your legacy is being written every day, whether you realize it or not. It's in the decisions you make, the relationships you nurture, the ways you show up in the world. You don't build a legacy all at once. You build it moment by moment, choice by choice. You build it in how you treat people, especially when there's nothing to gain. You build it in how you respond to challenges, how you use your voice, how you give your time, how you make others feel. The most powerful legacies are not always loud or visible. Sometimes they're passed down through quiet strength, a compassionate presence, a generous heart. Think about the people who've shaped your life in deep and lasting ways. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. Maybe it was a grandparent whose story shaped your sense of right and wrong. Maybe it was a friend who stood by you in your lowest moment. Their legacy lives on in you, not because they did something flashy, but because they were consistent in love, in truth, in presence. If you want to leave a meaningful legacy, start by living with intention. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be remembered as? What values do I want to be known for? Is it honesty, compassion, courage, loyalty, integrity? Whatever it is, let those values guide your everyday actions. Let them shape how you speak, how you lead, how you love. A legacy is not made by preaching your values. It's made by living them, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Legacy also lives in your relationships. It's in how deeply you connect with others. It's in the encouragement you offer, the time you give, the grace you extend. It's in your willingness to forgive, to apologize, to listen. People remember how you made them feel. They remember the times you showed up without being asked, the moments you celebrated their wins, the times you were a steady presence in chaos. If you want to leave something behind that matters, invest in people, see them, hear them, walk with them. Legacy is relational, not transactional. Another part of legacy is contribution. What are you giving back to the world? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It might be the way you mentor someone younger. It might be the example you set for your children. It might be the way you share your talents, your ideas, your time. Contribution is not about scale, it's about sincerity. It's about asking, how can I make someone else's path lighter? And then doing it even when no one is watching. And while legacy is often about what you do for others, it's also about how you live your own life. Are you living in alignment with your truth? Are you pursuing what lights you up? Are you showing others that it's possible to live authentically, even in a world that often rewards conformity? One of the greatest legacies you can leave is to live a life that gives others permission to be fully themselves. When you honor your own voice, you encourage others to do the same. You also leave a legacy through your courage. The courage to speak up when it's unpopular. The courage to start again after failure. The courage to face your fears, to heal your wounds, to grow in ways that aren't always comfortable. Every time you choose growth over comfort, love over resentment, truth over approval, you're shaping not just your own life, but the lives of those who are watching, and there are always people watching whether you know it or not. Your legacy is also held in how you handle your imperfections. You don't have to be flawless to leave a powerful impact. In fact, it's often your struggles, your setbacks, your humanity that make your story relatable and inspiring. Being open about your failures, your lessons, your journey, that's what makes your legacy honest. That's what gives others hope. We don't connect with perfection, we connect with real. Legacy is not about control either. You can't dictate how people remember you, but you can choose how you live. You can choose to plant seeds of kindness, of wisdom, of love and trust, that those seeds will grow in ways you may never see. You may never know the full reach of your impact, but that doesn't make it any less real. Sometimes the most meaningful parts of your legacy will unfold long after you're gone. So if you want to live a life that matters, not just for you, but for others, start today. Start with the next conversation, the next decision, the next act of love. Build something lasting, not just with your accomplishments, but with your character. Let your life be an invitation for others to live with more courage, more heart, more truth. Because in the end, the things you owned will fade. The titles will be forgotten. But the love you gave, the people you lifted, the values you embodied, those things remain. Those are the pieces of you that echo into the future. Your legacy isn't a destination. It's the trail you leave behind as you walk forward. Make sure it's a trail worth following.